Hey friends, we're back, and in this jazz piano lesson we're looking at how to help you as a beginner jazz piano player get started on improvising. Now this is the second lesson in a series, so if you haven't watched the first one and you're just getting started, check that out. Hopefully it's right above my head right now. Okay, but this is lesson 2. Now in lesson 1 we looked at the F blues scale and how to use that with this particular tune, Blues for YouTube. All right, and it was great fun, and we're going to just add a little bit to that. So go check out that first video, go to jazzpianolessons.online and download the music if you haven't already. Now, of course, I'm not going to show you how to play the tune. I did that in the last lesson, so but we are going to look at what are some of the things that we can use to expand our improvising. And so we're going to be looking at arpeggios, particularly in this lesson, and guide tones. Those two things, arpeggios and guide tones. All right, let's get into it. Now, let's play the song again, just to kind of remind ourselves. 2 and 3, 4. I'm just adding one extra note to what I did before. In the chords, I mean, that is. All right, now I'm going to talk about some of the notes I was adding in there. Now, I won't be able to remember exactly what I did just then. If you like that, copy it, that's fine. But I'll talk a little bit about actually what I just did then, so you can expand what you're doing on with your chords, right? But first, let's just work through some of the things that we're going to use to improvise over this. So I want you to first practice the, yes, there we go. So that's on that sheet of paper, right? So that you should download if you haven't, right? I'm just bringing it up one by one. So what I want you to do is practice these arpeggios. So an arpeggio is a broken up chord. So here's the chord, right? If you arpeggiate it, play it as an arpeggio, you are playing it as individual notes, all right? Now, practice it 1 octave, particularly these 3 chords. I want you to practice the F7, the B flat 7, and the C7, because they come up a few times, right? Now the other ones are there, but sometimes you can't learn everything in one go, right? Now if you can and you want to practice every single arpeggio, go for it. But if you just want to get started as quickly as possible, practice just the F7, the B flat 7, and the C7. I'm going to show you how to do those right now. So the F7, this is the fingers I would use, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and then your pinky if you're doing 1 octave. If you're doing 2 octaves, get your thumb underneath there. Right, now try not to be stationary like that and then go like really quickly to the next one. You want to kind of move smoothly across, okay? That'll help you to be able to play it faster. Right now, you don't have to play that fast, but you want to need to know what those notes. So do that first. 4th finger over there. All right, so let's have a look at the B flat one. Okay, so the B flat, D, F, A flat. I'll start with the 2nd finger. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 2nd finger, and then put your thumb on the D. And then use every finger, okay? You can use your 3rd finger if you want as well. You'll have your 4th finger there, so if you're doing a 2nd octave, you just get your thumb underneath as well, right? So if you're coming back down here, use your 4th finger there. 2nd or 3rd finger over to finish, all right? So that's the B flat one, and then our C one is the one we want to do as well, all right? So there it is there. It's going to be pretty much the same. It's the same shape as the F1, right? Now, obviously it starts on C, it's completely different notes, but it's the same shape, right? You've got white note, white note, white note, black note, right? And they're the same distance apart, all those notes as well, okay? So once you've got that F, That won't feel too hard to do that. All right. Now we're not going to play them fast. It's not really the point of what we're doing, but we're practicing those notes and we're getting them in our minds as these are the notes that are available to us that sound really good. Okay, so that's what we want to do. That's step one. So when we play this tune, let's get back to the tune. Let me give you a little bit of a demonstration of that. Here's my F7 now. Here's the 7 and the 3 that we played before, okay? And then we went to the B flat like that. The C and F, B flat on the next line is B flat, right? So if you want to, you can add one more note, you know, like a C. You could add just the C and just keep it as a C if you want. That's the 5th, right? That's part of the arpeggio, isn't it? All right. See how that kind of works? All right, and then we're going to go to our next chord. Now, as we go to our next chord, change these guide tones, but keep the C there. That becomes a 9, all right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all right? So that's a 9 there. Okay, so we've got, by not even changing this note. All right, now you've got to move it a little bit around, you know, to get away from the melody, you know, sort of sharing middle C there. All right, so you can use that C, you could use D as well. D is quite a nice note there, but not when you go to the B flat chord. You've already played the D down here, so you may as well play something else. So you can go to the C, you know, so you could go to that. That's an F13, and this is B flat 9, okay? Don't worry too much about that. In my other videos, I explain that in more detail, and as we go through this series of the beginner pianists in exploring the jazz, I'll show you how to work out all of those. So don't stress out about that. But for now, you know that you can get a little bit more extra colour or flavour. I like to sometimes think of it when you add those extra notes. Okay. Okay. So here's the blues scale. Here comes the C, F, B flat. All right, now here's what it sounds like if I'm using the arpeggios. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, that's the arpeggio, okay? Now, have a listen to what it sounds like when you use a little bit of the arpeggio and use a little bit of the blues scale. All right, so let's see what we can come up with here. 2 and 3 and 4. Now, that's probably a little bit complex if you're just starting to get going with these particular scales, but there's some of the ideas. Now, just then I used just the blues scale and just the arpeggios, all right? I didn't start using any of the modes yet that are available to us. I didn't start playing outside or doing anything like that, all right? So that's something you can do. Now, you might have noticed that this is a pretty cool little thing that you can do. It's quite easy to do, and that's to jump off the lowered third of the note. If you're playing, so here's your third, right? Now, in the blues scale, the A flat is part of the blues scale, okay? You'd know that from practicing that over the last few days, right? But if you slide off that, it sounds really cool. It's kind of like it's tension release kind of thing. So it kind of sounds really, really cool in my opinion anyway. All right, particularly for blues and jazz blues. All right, so you can have a go at that. So here's you could drop down onto a B flat arpeggio and it kind of sounds like that. Now, when you get to the B diminished chord, don't worry about that. If you want to and you know what the notes are, go for it. All right, it's only one note different, remember? And it's kind of the same shape as that C shape, right, but just down if you want to do that. So it's not that hard if you've already played those other ones. All right, so that's one big tip for this particular lesson. Now, the other big tip that I want to give you, and maybe this could be another lesson, but I'm going to give it to you in this lesson. All right, it's like a freebie, right? Is the guide tones, okay? We're going to talk about the guide tones. Now the guide tones, we were playing those, and we're still playing those and adding in a few little colours every now and then. Now the guide tones are 3 and 7, and they guide our ear. They guide our ear. That's a really important thing. They guide our ear as to, is it a major chord? Is it a minor chord? Is it a dominant chord? And that's kind of their function, all right? And so because they so beautifully guide our ear and sort of tell us where we're up to in the song, we can, if we use them in our melody, it's really, really powerful. Now I use this all the time when I'm playing outside. I use the guide tones to know this is the safe place to come back to if it ever gets a little bit too crazy, all right? So now this is probably one of the most important things that jazz musicians learn is what the guide tone notes are of any tune, right? So let's have a look at the start. So the guide tones are E flat or A to start with, right? Which is 7 and 3 of our F chord, okay? So we could do the F chord. Now the guide tone for B flat is either D or A flat. Now I'm not going to jump down to the D, because I'm already at A, right? So I'm going to go from the A to the A flat. 2, 3, and 4. See how the melody just said, hey, we've changed chords, right? It's so simple and yet sounds so amazing, right? Now, as you kind of get used to them, so what you should do is you should practice the song a number of times, working out a very, very simple melody with just the guide tones, 2 and 3 and 4. Next line. I'm going to go here. Now, that's not a very exciting solo, but it sounds fine, okay, doesn't it? It sounds right, it doesn't sound bad, it's just not very exciting, all right. But it's teaching you what notes are really safe, what notes are really important in going through this tune. And you can actually hear the changes, can't you? You can hear the chord changes through the melody, all right? That's a really important part of playing the guide tones in your melody. Here's the album. So I did kind of spend a lot of time around here, okay? If I was to go here, what are we at? The E flat. That would be my B flat one. There's the F chord. C, F. All right, so now of course you don't stay on the same one the whole way through. Here's an example of what it could sound like with a couple of extra notes thrown in there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... See how I kind of led up to that? Here's the blues scale. There's one of the guide tones there. 2 and 3, ba-da-da. All right, didn't play there. All right, now there I was playing the G minor, the 7, and then going to the C, which is the 3 of the C there, okay? Okay, so I went from the 7 of the G minor to the 3. I'll just go, let's go to that part. All right, so that's here, okay? The G minor to the C. Okay, so G minor. All right, but I just kind of added in a couple. But see how the guide tone was what held it together. The other notes were just adding a little bit more interests, you know, and all that, right? So now you might have noticed that I was kind of singing a little bit. That helps me to kind of hear what I'm trying to play. It also helps me to phrase better, all right? So one of the things I know about phrasing is that it's good to take a break. It's good to take a break. Let the listener have a listen and then let them have a break and kind of get used to what you just said and then go say something else, right? As you sing, you literally have to take a breath, right? That's what phrasing is when we're talking. It's pretty much the same thing when we're playing piano. All right, so just to recap, this is what you should practice. This, if you're new to playing this, I would play the song again. Just like we practiced the other day. Then I would improvise with the blues scale. You know, play it up and down a couple of times. I'll just go a bit slower just in case you want to remember that for a second. All right, so I'll be going. All right, I would do that through the entire tune, all right? And then I would practice the F7, B flat 7 and C7 like that. All right, the B flat 7, start with your second or third. And the C7, same shape. You may as well do that B diminished 7 because it's the same shape as the C, right? You can just got a very different sound, of course, because the intervals are different. So I would practice those, and then I would practice all of the guide tones, you know, working your way through. The first time you do it, don't do it with any rhythm. Just play the chords. F, 2. Okay, B flat. Be thinking like this. You know, take your time. B flat. All right. There's my chord. All right. I'm going to go with that one. All right. And then once you know what they are, kind of play them with some kind of rhythm going on. It kind of makes it a little bit more musical. Once you've done that, add in a couple of extra notes. Like that, all right? Here's the... All right, that was using the arpeggios that time. You know, you can kind of do some arpeggios and then add in some of the blues scale as you go. And then go back to the chord or the guide tone. All right. Hopefully that helps you. I'll see you real soon for our, it shouldn't say day 1 there. We'll see you real soon for our lesson 3 of this particular piece of music where we're going to kind of explore just a couple of extra little ideas when it comes to improvising. So that's going to be great. I'll see you real soon.